Operating under the crooked American barber system too long. We are now in session, the Barber Session, the only podcast for barbers by barbers, keeping you up to date on the latest trends in the industry and how you can go from being a barber to becoming a boss in this here business. You have now found where barbers get down, the only podcast where you can call in and hear your questions in the shop talk section and get responses from barbers personally. So slide in the chair, don your cape, and prepare. You're going to get lined up on some facts, learn how to shave the shadiness, and get ready to fade up your future. This is G-Funk, saying right on to the real and deaf to the fakers.
Welcome back to the Barber Session, guys. It's been a while. We're back on all new formats where you now can hear your voice on this podcast and you can interact with us and we can answer your questions. I'm really excited. The first episode we're having on Shannon, one of our very own, and we're also having a special guest, a throwback guest, Chris Basio. What's going on, guys?
Not much, man. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. What's up, Basio?
What's going on, man? I'm excited to be on here. It's been years since we've done the Barber Session, and I felt like it wouldn't be right for at least the co-host of the previous co-host to at least show face the first episode. As you guys may know, I might be, not always on this podcast. I can't really commit to it. Things have changed a lot since the first Barber Session, but I'm super excited that Perez is going to keep the podcast alive. He knows how to do this. He has the sexy R&B voice to be able to manage this. And podcasting is just, that's your thing. That's your lane. And that's something that you're passionate about. So I'm excited to see the Barber Session, bro, come back to life.
I'm definitely passionate about it, man. I'm glad it's back. There hasn't been a week that hasn't gone by since our last episode. I'm sure it's the same for you, Basio, where I haven't gotten a DM or a text or an email or a comment on one of my videos of where is the Barber Session? What happened to the Barber Session? And people still listen to, episodes 1 through 10 and they find value in it, man, which is why I wanted to bring it back. But I wanted to bring it back like this. It's near and dear to me. And I think we can connect with you guys more because you get to hear your voice on here. We get to hear you and your emotion in your question as opposed to just reading something off of a DM. But I wanted to have Shannon on here. He's one of our own. He's one of the hottest barbers on IG right now. Basio, nobody can contest that. Nobody can argue that. His cuts are ridiculous. What I want to know, though, is I want to know the story, Shannon. I want to know how this started, bro. I want to know how a white boy, yeah, I said it, a white boy is dominating this predominantly, urban industry. What's the story, Shannon? Break it down for me, bro. Like, how are you dominating this? How do you get people to sit in your chair? Because I know you got some reactions before. It's like, I'm not sitting with that white boy.
Yeah, first of all, before I answer that question, man, I just want to say it's an honor to be a guest on the show. I want to say that, you guys are phenomenal leaders, and I love your vision. I love your passion for the industry, and your overall character, and you're just real, so I love you guys and I appreciate once again being on. But for me, honestly, man, how it all started, I was 13 years old. I seen some kids in our neighborhood who, man, they were butchered, their haircuts were butchered. And anyways, I just kind of asked them, where did you get your haircut from? And they said the local barber shop. And I said, you paid for that? And I said, I could do better than that, and I'd never even held a pair of clippers. And basically one of the parents bought me a pair of clippers and said, let's see what you can do, and honestly, my haircut was better than the barbers. So I just continued to cut their hair. And then other neighborhood kids began to ask to get their hair cut. And I cut for free for a long time until I realized it was a job and it was work. And anyway, so then I began to charge, and God just blessed it. I finally got to a place years ago where I raised my price because I didn't want to cut hair anymore. And I was like, listen, you got to charge, I think it was like I was charging $20 a cut, $15, $20 a cut, really to deter people from getting a cut with me, because cuts were around $10 at the time, but they were willing to pay, So anyways, I just found a gift and I began to work that gift, and I've seen, just growth from there. One of the things that I truly believe, the Bible says that whenever you discover your gift, it says that your gift will make room for you, and it will bring you before great men or influential people. So for me, I recognized early that I had a gift. A lot of people say that they work hard to perfect the craft, and man, I've put a lot of work in, and I've always, tried to perfect my craft and increase in knowledge and things like that. However, I recognized that I had a gift, and basically what I could see in my head, I could put on someone else's head, So recognizing that gift, there's something that I teach a lot is the 3 Ds, when it comes to your gift. First, you have to discover your gift. Then you have to develop your gift, and then you deploy your gift. And I think just going through that process of discovering the gift, taking the time to develop the gift, to try to master the gift, and then putting it out there for the world to see, then I started getting people coming from all ethnicities. And honestly, I think a lot of times we like to, pull the race card and think, and it may happen at first where people of other races or whatever might feel like, nah, white boy can't cut my hair. But I think that, after you've developed your gift and you put it on display, then it doesn't matter, what ethnicity you are.
It speaks for itself.
Quality, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So right now, thankfully, with the power of social media, people see, a lot of times what happens in a barbershop setting before social media is people see the barber or the color of their skin or their style to determine the quality of the cut, when now social media has given us a platform where they can see the cut before they judge the barber. And anyway, so right now, I mean, Instagram is obviously doing well for me when it comes to gaining new clients. I honestly have probably every day that I'm in the shop, I have at least one customer from Instagram, and the majority of them aren't white.
Gotcha. So before Instagram, it was just word of mouth. You just put your gift, like you said, on display, and people just started realizing, man, like, I just want this kind of quality type thing. That's how you fought that.
Yeah, man. I mean, I remember the first time that I worked in an all-black barbershop. I was friends with the owner of the barbershop, and he was like, bro, you need to come in and work with us. And he was a great dude. We really connected. But I always had influence in my hometown. Everyone knew me. It didn't matter what color they were. They knew the quality of cut they were going to get, because there again, I started cutting, in the garage, on the streets, and people took notice. So I proved myself. So it didn't matter at that point what color my skin was, what my style was. People came because of the quality of the cut. So I always had that. I mean, I was blessed. But when I went to a new city and worked in a new shop, an all black shop, even whenever the owner of the shop would say, man, try the white boy, man, he's cold, this and that, I still met that resistance, where a lot of the people coming in was like, nah, no white boy's going to cut my hair. And eventually, so I sat down a lot, and it was discouraging coming from a barbershop where I was booked all the time. Would have walk-ins sitting all day just to get a haircut, to walk into a place where I'm sitting all day waiting on a haircut. And basically what happened, I knew what I could give, and I was just waiting for the opportunity. So even though it was embarrassing for everyone to be working and me sitting there, I just was, patient. I was persistent, and eventually they started letting me cut their kids' hair because they didn't trust me with their hair. And I took that opportunity, man, and I just rocked it. I was like, I'm going to give this kid the best haircut he's ever had in his life. I want that parent to say, dang, I wish I would have sat in this boy's chair. And anyways, and after a little while, after I started hooking them up, and I know my gifting, I'm strong with not just fades, but I feel like I'm strong with designs. And I knew that designs would set me apart from the crowd. So what I would do is say, hey, you mind if I throw a little part in his hair? Or what do you think about me putting a design in there? And I would do it for free. And obviously, I'll charge for the cut, but the design itself, being I had no one else waiting, I took that time to really just go in. And what happened is they would begin to see those designs, and then they were like, "Dude, this dude is cold, man." So
They were
what happened? They
walking
started,
billboards for you, basically.
absolutely, absolutely. So then everywhere I went, thankfully, I'm just humbled to say everywhere that I went, it may have taken a little time to build a clientele, but after some time, I was always booked, just like with headlines when I first came here, to coming to Tampa, not knowing anyone. It took some time, man, so I had to sit down and I had to be patient. I had to wait for those walk-ins, and there again, knowing what you possess and sitting down, watching everyone else busy and you're just twiddling your thumbs, it's discouraging at times, but being patient. And then whenever I would get that cut, doing the best job that I could possibly do, really pays off.
So
I have a couple questions.
Go ahead.
Okay.
If you don't mind me asking, if we move on, I don't want to move on yet. If we can, what about when you weren't good at cutting hair? Because Gary Vee, he said something once that really struck me. He said how social media and the internet, it moves things from caring about doing business with someone because of how they look, and because with the internet there is no face to the product. All you see is the product.
Yeah.
Like right now, you have an amazing product, and nobody cares what you look like because all they see is that amazing product. And so, like you said, you're getting a client almost every day just from Instagram alone. That's amazing, and that's to be honest with you, that's not duplicatable for everyone, right?
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't. You probably weren't one of the best in the industry like you are today at what you do when you first started. What did that Shannon look like? And was that Shannon building clientele? And if so, how were you doing it then?
Honestly, I mean, and I don't want to sound like cocky in any kind of way. I say this with all humility.
No, we gotta keep it real, right?
I started cutting hair. I started cutting hair 27 years ago. And at that time, in my small context, I was in a very small town. There wasn't good barbers. It was just like, get the hair off, So for me, I was in a setting where there wasn't a whole lot of quality. So I felt like I was better than everyone else. And there again, not saying that egotistically. I mean, the proof was in the pudding. My fades looked better. So I guess at that point, I never felt like I was bad. I always felt like I was gifted, So it gave me a sense of confidence. I've never tried to be arrogant, but I felt like I was confident that I could give a good quality haircut even back then. Now times have changed because, dude, I'm trying my best to put out, banging fades and even when it comes to Instagram, I'm trying to take good pictures with quality lighting, and I put them on Instagram, and I follow some beasts, and I'm looking at their cuts, and now I'm like, does my cut measure up? You know what I mean? Because there's so, I've been exposed to a lot more gifting and quality cuts than I was when I was young. So when I was young, I felt like I got this, and now looking around, I feel like, man, there's so many quality cuts. And honestly, I feel like the competition is great when it comes to Instagram barbers. However, if I was just starting out now and say I was still that young white boy who cut in an all black shop and I was new to the game, I don't know if that would be the best decision for me at that point. Maybe it would stretch me, but at the same time, maybe it would have killed my passion to pursue barbering, because if I walk into a place where everyone's looking at me like, I don't think this boy can cut hair, and then I prove that I can't cut hair, sometimes, man, people, they're not real sensitive with your feelings. and they'll say things that hurt. And I could have been in a position where if I didn't know the quality that I possessed at the time, it could have killed me. And I could have just thought, I can't do this. I'm not qualified. So at that point, I would say I would have started in a shop where quality wasn't, I guess the bar, you know what I mean? And I hate to say that because I think that quality should always be the standard. However, there are shops out there, their focus is speed, maybe their focus is the environment and just, being family oriented, and it's not really the quality of the cut. So I would try to find a barber shop that would allow me to fail sometimes and to grow in the gifting that I have, and that would celebrate me as a person and the gift that I have, or my willingness to try. Something that I truly believe in life, when it comes to business, when it comes to friendships, relationships, is to stay where you're celebrated, not where you're tolerated. And for me, I try to create a culture at our shop for our barbers where they're celebrated. So we walk by and we're like, "Ooh, man, that's a blurry cut," or scream across the shop, "Dang, boy, you're killing it." Because I believe that when you celebrate a person, it brings out the best in them. You know what I'm saying? But whenever you're constantly picking out their faults, it's hard to see anything good about yourself. So with that, I would try to find a place, man, that would celebrate me, that would believe in me. I was watching Bossio's, live Instagram live. I believe it was last night, and there was so many young kids getting on there, man. There was, I think, a 12-year-old kid.
That was awesome.
It was like, I'm a 12-year-old. It was awesome, but he was like, I'm a 12. Yeah, dude, I seen you, man. It looked like you were about to cry, but because man, it impacts you in an emotional way, or on an emotional level, when you realize, man, I'm making a difference. And that's, I think, the desire of every one of us, is to make a difference in our generation. And so what happens though, is I'm watching these kids say, I'm a 12-year-old barber, I'm just starting out, or I'm in barber school now. And the encouragement, there was a few negative people. You're always going to have that. But the positivity, man, far outweighed the negativity. And you just seen so many people, encouraging these young barbers. And that's the kind of shops, honestly, that we need to create. That's the kind of schools that we need to create, where we are promoting these people, man, and we are helping and inspiring and pushing. So that's the kind of culture that I would want to, just be immersed in, so that way I can believe in myself and also have, those people surrounding me that will, not only inspire me, but also correct me in a loving way and say, "Hey, man, I'm here if you need me. If you are struggling with anything, I'm open. Come and talk with me." And saying that, I feel like that's why we, produce some amazing barbers in our shop. Not only are we, always, I think, really, celebrating our barbers, and whenever they knock it out of the park, we really highlight that. But also, we're very open to teach and to learn and to grow together. And basically, I think we, provide an atmosphere where people feel comfortable enough to say, hey, can you come over here and look at this? What do you think about this? And we see that happen in our shop all the time. And I believe that's why the whole team is elevating, is because we're okay with not knowing what we don't know, but willing to learn, And so that's the kind of environment I would want to be in, is just people that would help me grow. And I would say this. I know that you alluded to, what's his name? You just talked about him a minute ago. The Instagram guy. Who?
Yeah, who?
Who alluded to it?
You did, Basia.
Oh,
Gary V. Gary V.
Oh, yeah, Gary V. Yeah.
So I know that Gary V. a lot of times talks about, hey, promote yourself now. And I believe in promoting yourself. And I would promote myself like crazy. However, I don't know that I agree with putting my work out on Instagram for everyone to see until I said, I think we always look at our cuts and we may question, oh man, especially after you take a picture, you're like, I wish I would have done this better, and things like that. But sometimes, man, I look at people who post stuff, and to me, and it's just to me, but I think it's more of a turn off than a turn on, I think that maybe we need to have people that are surrounding us, that are on our team, that are trusted people, that we can, say, hey, what do you think about this picture? Something I love about Matt Gifted Hands, is we have a group chat, and when he takes a picture for Instagram or for YouTube, he'll shoot us like 3 or 4 different options, and he'll say, what picture do you think looks best? And he's leaning on trusted, people that have kind of gained some influence in Instagram or social media or whatever. And we get to, add our input on, man, this one right here looks really blurry, And anyways, I think that that's important, to have people around you that you can lean on, I don't know if I answered your question, but
no, you touched on something that I think is important that a lot of people don't talk about. And Perez, you can kind of give your opinion after if you could relate to this. But to me, not every photo is meant for Instagram, right? I 100% believe that you should document everything, because eventually it can be very inspirational. I wish I had photos of my first haircut. I really wish I would have taken those photos. I don't wish I would have posted them on Instagram when I was making those haircuts, because less people probably would have sat in my chair if I'm being real with myself.
Yeah.
But I do think that there are attributes that set barbers apart other than the quality of your haircut, that there are a lot of customers that value so much more than the quality, right? And what I mean by that is cleanliness, is professionalism, is how timely are you? How are you on time for your haircuts? Do you accept appointments? Where are you located? Are you in a convenient location? These are things that you can be advertising every single day. When you get a new product, show that you're investing in yourself. There's literally 1,000 other things you can post to promote yourself that will attract clients other than your haircut photos. And you said it earlier. The competition is fierce right now. I don't even want to take photos right now because I don't have the time to, and I don't even want to play in that field when I'm doing everything that I'm doing, because that's real work. Taking good photos of your clients with good lighting, and then choosing all these angles, and at the end of the night choosing the best one and then posting it. That's real work. And to be honest with you, it's almost like barber battles. I'm not going to compete in that field, because I know that it's real work, and I'd be spreading myself too thin if I try to play in that field. So that's not my way of building clientele. I'm okay with that. And I'm 10 years in, So a guy who's a year in my opinion, that's definitely not your field. That's definitely not the arena you want to play in. Eventually you will be able to, if that's what you choose to do. But I think that especially for beginner barbers, student barbers, focus on the other things. And Shannon and Perez, I'm sure you guys can attest to this. We know a lot of barbers who we want to sit in their chair, but they're booked.
Absolutely.
Facts.
I was just thinking that.
Facts. And touching on that as well, Bozzy, you said, I don't even consider myself one of the best barbers in my own barbershop. If I'm being transparent, right? And you were saying not everything is meant for Instagram. I document a lot of my haircuts throughout the day. And like you were attending to earlier with Matt, Shannon, I'll take, 4 or 5 pictures, and I'll get home and I'll start scrolling through them. I'm like, that's just not postable content. I'm not posting it. It's not necessarily a bad haircut. It's just the lighting was off or the angle was wrong. So not everything is meant for Instagram. To be quite honest with you, Bazio worked across from me for I don't know how many years. We haven't for a long time since we started opening various locations. But Bazio will attest to this. He'll tell you half the clients, not half, more than half, 90% of my clients sit in my chair simply because I make them laugh. I'm a talker.
I don't know how you pull it off though.
I don't know. I'm just a talker, bro.
Because I hear the jokes. They're kind of lame, but
I'm a talker, man. It's what I do. It's just I like to make people smile. I like to make people laugh.
Yeah.
And if your chair feels good, people will come back. So it doesn't necessarily mean I didn't focus on my craft or tried to get better as the years progressed. I have that personality. Like Bosio says, some people have different qualities. That was my quality.
I mean,
I made people
here's
feel
an analogy. Here's an analogy, right? People don't follow I have 70-something thousand followers on Instagram.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time I posted a photo of my haircut. That's not the value I give to people.
No.
Yeah.
That's not the value I give to people. It doesn't have to be that, right? Like my value might be my live streams. I don't know. It might be my stories. I don't know what it is. But people, they decide to follow me, and it's not like I don't have engagement. People, like I have 100 people that be on my live stream, and again, I know that my angle doesn't have to be photos, guys. Like if I'm telling you this with 250,000 subscribers on YouTube and 70-some thousand on Instagram, I'm not saying this to brag. I don't think that's an astronomical number. I think there's definitely potential for more. Other barbers have more than surpassed that, but there's engagement in what I'm doing, and it has nothing to do with my haircut photos. You see what I'm saying? And
for example, even when last night, there again, whenever you had the interview or you were on your Instagram live and you were just randomly, having other people join, and most of them were people that have no name or no influence in the barber industry. And what I mean by that is that they're not, real famous in the barber industry or whatever. Most of them were 12-year-old kids, barber students, things like that. And just you saying something like, you know what? I am going to mentor you. I am going to help you any way I can to see you succeed as a 12-year-old barber. Man, make sure you DM me after this. I want to just pour into you. That's whenever you notice everyone saying, Basio, that's why you're the GOAT. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't that you even did a haircut. It was your commitment to help other people better themselves and succeed. And I think that's what we all want, man. We want to be connected with people who, there again, believe in us, that encourage us, that inspire us. And I think that you can, put out, a decent haircut, maybe not the best, but if you make people feel good, then they'll come back, man. I mean, like you said, we've seen it.
I still remember.
Let me be 100% transparent. The reason why I asked Shannon the question that I asked him earlier is because, he talked about his product and his gifts and all that stuff, but I'm going to keep it real. I've been cutting, obviously not as much as I could, but long enough I've been cutting near Shannon where I can make an opinion on seeing what really makes Shannon special behind the chair. And his haircuts are awesome. There's nobody that can say that Shannon isn't an amazing barber. But the one thing that stands out to me, when I see him with his clients, is his wisdom, is his conversations. This dude he be preaching to his clients, and not just that, but like he has the type of clients that look forward to that. I mean, some of his clients have reached out to me and wanted to build relationships with me because they see some of the things that I'm doing. It goes to show the type of clients that are attracted to him. They value looking good, but most people that look good and want to look good all the time also want to be successful in other things in their life. And Shannon can offer all of that. Part of why I keep telling Shannon to raise his prices, but
thank you, I appreciate that. Something that.
But real talk, and you know what? Like even some of Nate's clients have reached out to me. I can tell the type of clients that Nate is attracting, and it's because of more than just the haircut. It's also who you are as an individual. You pour so much into yourself that you're able to pour into your clients in so many ways. You poured it so much into yourself, learning how to cut hair at a phenomenal level, but you've also poured just so much into yourself to the point where you could lead a church. You could pastor. You could lead a movement. You know what I mean? And that's what makes you insanely good at what you do.
Well, thank you. I know.
Agreed, 100%, bro.
I was just gonna say something that really means a lot to me is that I was cutting Chris Perez. I was cutting his hair several times before the shop even opened. meet him, and I'd cut his hair, and usually I'd block off like an hour and a half just so that we could, talk, and anyways, and something he said to me was something along the lines of, I love getting my hair cut with you. I feel like basically that this is what a barber experience should be. Not only am I getting a quality haircut, but he said, I just feel better when I get out of your chair as a person.
Yeah.
And that means a lot to me, man. Like, I want people to be encouraged, I want them to be inspired. And for me, it's not about cutting hair. I mean, I love to cut hair, don't get me wrong. And I strive to give people the best quality haircut that I can give them. And I know there are people out there doing it better than I am, but I can only give you the best that I can give you. However, when you get out of my chair, I don't want you just to say, I got a great haircut. I want you to walk out of that place feeling like you can conquer the world. You know what I mean? Like, man, I'm inspired. I'm encouraged. I feel better as a human being, for being in his presence. And so that's what really moves me, because, the whole, concept behind, Soon 45 is die a legend. And I believe that you can't die a legend without touching other people's lives. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I believe every one of us on this planet, we are here for a purpose. We all have an assignment, and your assignment is always to a person or a people. There's so many people that they want to build their own kingdom, and it's all about them. They want the fame. They want this. They want that. And the reality is, you can never walk in your assignment unless they fulfill your assignment focused on yourself. Our assignment is always to a person or to a people group. And so, like, part of my assignment every day, man, is to be a blessing to people.
You've definitely been a blessing in my life, man. And when I said that, I meant that, man. Every time I've sat in your chair, bro, I just feel better. And I told you that, and everybody's definition of a barber is different to everyone. You know what I mean? Some people, like you said, just come in for the cut. Some people come for the conversation. Some people come for the experience. And sitting in your chair is inspirational, for lack of a better term. It feels good, man. You've talked me through personal stuff. It's what it's supposed to be. That's the definition of a barber to me. We're counselors to the community. We have a pulse on our community. We affect the youth and our clients and everybody in the next generation and all of it. So you are, to me, the definition of what a barber should be. So lucky to have you, man.
Hey, man, I'm lucky to be a part of the team.
Absolutely. I'm sure Basio feels the same way as well. You guys want to answer some questions, some takes here? The new segment, the new section of the barber session?
Let's do it.
Ready, Basio?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So first up, we have Devin.
My name is Devasha Edmonds. I'm calling from Tampa, Florida. My IG is Devon, hashtag Mr. Blends. Questions that I have, one or two, is one would be like, how do you feel about the overseas clippers? Do you think they're worth investing in? Are they the same as the wall clippers or any other major clippers, the off-brand? Also, like, what is like the majority cut that is performed by barbers? What would you feel is the OG cut, like the fade, tapers, and also like basically how do you go about confronting a customer that wants a cut that they really can't have? And that's all the questions that I have.
All right, Mr. Shannon, you want to take this first?
Yeah, Devon, thank you for your question, bro. So first of all, I would say, addressing the question about clippers from overseas. I've actually ordered clippers from overseas, the cheap ones off of Amazon. And my personal opinion is every clipper that I've ever gotten that was like from overseas off Amazon. This is just my experience. I've always had to do something to modify it to make it better, because it never did the job by itself, or it just was a cheap knockoff of the original and it did not have the power that I wanted. Also, whenever you're not dealing with a reputable brand, you can't just, like Babyliss, for example. I mean, Dennis is so amazing that anytime anybody has any issues with their product, they can simply hit them up on IG and say, hey, Dennis, this is something that went wrong. And every single time, 100% of the time that I've heard of anyone, saying they're having issues, he simply says, hey, send it in. We'll send you a new one. And that's the same with Tune 45, man. And anyways, so whenever I've bought wall clippers, and over the years, I have bought so many wall clippers, it's been ridiculous. I can pull them right out of the box. I zero gap everything, but as soon as I zero gap it, it's ready to roll. I don't have to worry about power issues or problems. I just know that they've developed, a standard in the industry that their stuff works and they stand behind it. So for me personally, I've tried it. I've dipped my toes in it. Really not happy with it. So I think that I'm going to stick to, the walls and Anderson and Babyliss and things like that I know, is a proven product, and anyways, I just feel like that we should support, those in our, sphere of influence as well. Also, when it comes to, the OG cut, I think that honestly, I think that would be different for everyone, based on, the culture that you and the environment that you were raised in. Some areas, man, the OG cut is a old flat top, or country flat top. I'm not talking about like juice and stuff like that. I'm talking about like country flat top. And they feel like if you can't cut an old country flat top, then you ain't a real barber. You're not an OG. And
Facts.
and however, in our culture of Tampa, you better know how to fade. But if you look at my pictures on IG right now, the majority of my cuts are probably
Tapers.
tapers. A higher taper on the side and the back, and I think that's what's going right now. That's something that I definitely see a lot of, and I feel like that's a great cut. But you need to fade. You need to know how to fade. I mean, but when it comes to dealing with people that come in and they have an expectation of something that their hair won't allow them to have, I just kind of, in a gentle way, say exactly that. I think that this haircut might not suit you that well simply because of, this cowlick right here. If we're trying to do a hard part, this cowlick kind of throws it in a different direction, or, whatever. I just try to be real gentle with how I say it. One of the things, whether it come with managing our shop, leading people, or just, talking with my kids, I feel like that there's a way to communicate truth without it crushing people. Some people are jerks. I hate that. Just be loving, man. Be gentle, and people receive that better. Something I like to call it is the love sandwich. I pick out something positive. Oh man, your hair, it's so great here. And then I put the negative in there, but, with this right here, and then but this over here would look great, or whatever. And anyways, I just try, I don't know if that made sense to anybody else, but
It did.
I just try to, I try to build them up while telling them the truth, and I just try to really, help them lean into the direction of the cut that I think they should have. And if they won't budge, then I do the cut that they want, and, the other day I had a kid come in, and honestly, I was so embarrassed that he walked out with, it crushed me, man. I mean, I sat there for probably
the bowl cut.
an hour. Yeah. He came in, and this kid, he wanted bald on the side, skin bald, and he wanted a bowl cut. And it wasn't hanging down a couple inches. It was literally like an inch over, like an inch bowl on the side or whatever. And we know that it just, at that point, when it's so short, it just sticks out, And anyways, so it doesn't lay properly or whatever, but that's what he wanted. And at the end of the day, even though I was like, hey man, I don't know if that's the best cut, man. You know, like your hair texture won't look like this picture that you're showing me. It's not gonna lay like this guy's. It's gonna stand up. It's gonna just poof out. That's the cut he wanted. So I cut his hair, and guess what? It took me 15 minutes to shave the side of his head and trim a little bit off the top.
Fastest cut you did all day.
Yeah, and I made $40. He gave me, you know, the price of the cut and a $10 tip, and anyway, so $40 for 15 minutes, and he walked out. I hope he was happy. You know,
yeah, I love it.
I mean,
I love it.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, you know, that I'm here to serve them. You know, and if that's what they want, I'm not going to turn them down. You know, I'm going to do the best that I can to give them that cut. And if they don't like it, then they'll realize after I've spoke with them, like, I don't know if this is going to be the best cut for you, but at the end of the day, I'm here to please you. So, you know, whenever I do that cut and you walk out and then they're not satisfied, then hopefully I have another opportunity to come and I hear their dissatisfaction and I can, you know, in love say, yeah, I didn't really think that was the best cut for you. Remember, I mentioned that to you. You know what I think would be a good cut for you though? Man, what if you did this? You know, I think it would look amazing. And a lot of times they'll say, "Hey, you're the expert. Do what you think's best."
Let's give Shannon a round of applause from all the barbers out here for doing the bowl cut, performing the bowl cut.
Come on. I cried after that one. Man.
Hey, I like that.
Round of applause, Shannon. Yeah, great bowl cut. So real quick, I'm gonna hit mine real quick because we're up against it a little bit. But in reference to the consultation, right? It's part of the consultation. I think like Shannon already said earlier, you know, in a kind way, in a gentle way. I'm just honest, you know, kindly and respectfully. But I think customers just appreciate honesty. And at the end of the day, if it's what they want, it's what they want. That's what we're here to do. I may not necessarily agree with it. I'm going to tell you what I think would look best. But if it's what you want, you're paying for it. You're right. Here, I'll do what you want. No problem. In reference to off-brand clippers, real quick, I'm not going to support anybody that doesn't support my industry. Plain and simple. It's just that simple. And as far as OG cut, pretty sure Tampa, Florida, bald fade. I mean, that's like you said, you got to know how to fade. Milky white, 2 on top, bald fade to the skin. That's what people get out here. I'll let Bosio answer really quick on the 3.
Yeah. So for me, so I'll go in order. So first thing is the Chinese clippers or the off brands. I'm biased because I create a brand that literally stands for the rebirth of barbering. You know, I'm trying to build a culture that demands respect for what we do, that, you know, people feel like is a real career. And I'm trying to kind of educate people on how to do that. That's all I've been doing the past, you know, since I've had the YouTube channel, 5 years or so, 4 years or so. And so when I see something that does nothing for our industry, and you hear the term all the time in hip hop, culture vulture, right? Like, look, I've created brands and stuff, and I see how people who run these factories, I'm not going to call them companies or brands, these factories, with the type of business practices that they do. I don't support that stuff. Like me and Danny and Perez, we say it all the time, we're terrible businessmen because we never go after the best monetary. I'm not gonna say we never do, but it's never priority. Monetary gains is never priority. It's never priority, monetary gains. And the number one excuse I hear barbers for going with an off brand or a Chinese clipper is monetary gains. And what I mean by that is, yeah, but it's like half the price, you know? Yeah. And for us, it's so much more than that. It's partnership. Is let's scratch it. What is the long-term vision? What can we do to build and help others? That's not the conversations you can have with these factories. And so I'd be a hypocrite if I went and bought these products, because the very thing that I'm promoting and the brand that I represent, just it's not in line with that. And if I can educate people, if I can tell people the experience that I've had personally being in China several times for for like pretty much a torturous amount of time because I lose 15 pounds while I'm out there because I can't eat anything. But like, dude, these people are like, imagine sitting in your living room at 2 o'clock in the morning, drawing out an idea and thinking to yourself, I'm going to take a second mortgage out. I'm going to create this product. And you spend tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, making this a real thing between legal fees and the 3D designs and engineering. And this factory that has more money than you comes to one of the employees, one of the engineers, or one of the designers, gives them $10,000. What do you got there? And takes your idea. Damn. This is happening all the time. And you know how they say, not the funeral, the graveyard.
Mm-hmm.
It is the place where most dreams are never seen, right?
Yeah,
because there's people who lay to rest and never fulfill their ideas, never fulfilled their dreams. It's a very sad place when you look at it that way. Guess what? It happens. It happens every single day to entrepreneurs who are trying to come from nothing and build something out of themselves. And that is pretty much almost, every new barber who's coming into this industry. I'm not a hypocrite. I'm very passionate about that. And I'm not going to diss anybody who supports that type of stuff. But if somebody asks me the question, and they ask me almost every single day, I've always been transparent. I'm going to tell you how I feel. And that's just how I feel, whether you agree with it or not. Yeah. So the next question is the OG cut. I think right now, the side part comb over skin fade is undeniably the OG cut. It's been around since I've been a barber. It's been around for forever. And if you can't do that haircut in our shop,
you're in trouble.
Yeah.
You're literally going to turn down half of the clients that walk in.
That's a fact. That is
the other question was, how to tell people that cut won't work. I just plant a seed. These are grown men at the end of the day. They've gotten thousands of haircuts before they sat in your chair. You're not going to convince them of anything you're not freaking a sensei that you're going to convince this guy that his whole life has been literally a disgrace. Not a mistake, a disgrace.
A disgrace.
Right? But like, it's going to be very hard to do that. You got to plant the seed. Unless you've known them your whole life or something, you don't have the rapport yet to convince them of it, right? They think they know what they know because that's what they've liked their entire life. So how can you, as a barber, who you're trying to lock them in as a client, convince them of any different? So what I would say is plant the seed, build rapport by educating them, by teaching them things. And maybe they might start looking at themselves in the mirror, and after a few weeks, after asking their girlfriend what they think, their friends what they think, they might come to you and say, hey, remember that idea you were giving me the other day? Let's try that out. I'm looking for something different. And at no point do you have to say something doesn't work for them. You can literally just educate them. That's it. So that's my answer for those 3 questions, even though that was very long. Sorry, guys.
Bars. Okay. Well said. You guys ready for the next one?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
We got Ryan from Arkansas.
Arkansas.
What's up? My name is Ryan, the barber. You can follow me on Instagram. I'm from Lowell, Arkansas. And really, I just wanted to make a shout out to Team 45. And want to thank Chris Bosio and the crew for always inspiring me to become better than I am. Just work my way to the dream. I love doing what I do, and watching y'all accomplish everything that y'all do is making me want to do better each and every day. And for anyone who's listening, man, I tell y'all to follow your dreams, never give up. Y'all go get it.
Shout out to Ryan. That was a dope take.
Yeah, that's for sure.
It wasn't a question, but we definitely appreciate it, and it's definitely fact. Chase your dreams up.
Appreciate that, Ryan. Y'all go follow Ryan on IG, Ryan the Barber. Okay, next we have Paul from Kentucky.
Hey, what's up, fellas? My name is Paul Van Team. I'm here in Louisville, Kentucky. I've been in barber school for about a month and a half. And my question is, how can I market myself as a barber student to people when I don't have much experience, but I need clientele to get better? I appreciate it. Appreciate what you guys are doing. I look forward to hearing your response. Take care.
Who wants to go first?
Go ahead, Basio.
Okay. So these questions are always kind of broad to me. Every time like a barber student is asking questions and stuff, can you guys help me out here? Like can we narrow the question down a bit?
So I think what he's trying to do is he's trying to. First off, Ryan, you should not be marketing yourself to clients in school. Those clients are not going to follow you, period. I think he's trying to get more reps. I think at the end of the day, what he wants is a way to figure out how to get more repetition to get better. We've answered some of these questions. We answered them in a class at the premiere, right, Basio? So to answer that, one, at least from my perspective, you should not be marketing yourself to the clients in school. They're not going to follow you, period. They're there for the budget cut, and that's what they're there for. Two, if you want to get more reps, there's all kinds of options if you really dig to get more reps. You can go to the local rec center. You can go to a homeless shelter. You can even talk to your school and get credit hours for it. I'm sure they wouldn't mind you going down to a homeless shelter and helping out some gentlemen get cleaned up to find jobs and help them get on their feet. And you, in exchange, get credit hours for it. And you get the reps and you get practice on consultations and helping people get that right look for themselves and repetition on haircuts and different textures and different styles. You can go to the local rec center. There's all kinds of options you can do with that as far as in reference to getting reps. I think that's where he's coming from, Basio.
Yeah, my thing is like I don't know what the school is doing. Like, all right, so guys, if you're listening to this, if you're asking a question like this, I'd love to hear what the problem is. And then what is the solution? So your problem is you're not getting enough reps, but like you're in a barber school. So why do you feel like you're not getting enough reps? Is the school not promoting it? Is the school not, is the prices too expensive? Like, let's really start to narrow these questions down because again, I get this type of question all the time. But I'd love to give a much more direct answer because I'll give you an example. My barber school, we weren't getting enough design reps because my barber school wanted to charge an extra $15 for design on $2 Tuesdays, but they don't teach us a damn thing about design. Basio, what do you think I can do about this? And which my answer would be, look, you guys need to get together as a student body because you guys do have power and you guys do have a voice. You need to get together as a student body and you need to ask for a meeting with the owner of the school or with the director of the school and give them your concerns. Look, we want to do more design. We're not learning from you guys. You're not offering any education on design, but you're charging $15 for designs and nobody's coming. We want reps. We want to learn more about it and we want reps. You're killing us right now with this. Yeah. So my answer would be organize it, get the student body together. Somebody needs to do it. Make a petition or something and bring it to the director or the owner of the school, right? And so that would be my question. Like, why is it that your school is slow? Are they doing $2 Tuesdays? Are they charging too much for haircuts? Are they not promoting you? Like, your job as a student is to be a student.
Facts. Anything, Shannon?
I feel like that's good. I think y'all covered it.
Okay. He's like, y'all pretty much covered it.
but seriously, guys, like
I get what
you're
saying.
With these questions, if we don't do this, we're gonna get the same broad questions every single podcast, right? Yeah. People are gonna say, "Hey, how do I build clientele?" Well, I don't know. Like, what does your town look like? Give us a population of your town. Tell us why you think you're slow, and then we might be able to give you a good answer that will really help you out. So that's just my message for you, for anybody who's listening.
Everybody take notes. Take notes on that.
Yeah, something that we kind of addressed earlier, and it may not be specifically for a barber student, but maybe even someone coming out of school that's in the shop that, they want to build their clientele. I think there again, you have to focus on what are your strengths at the moment, and if it's people, skills and just being funny or whatever, promote those things. And if there's people that you've already kind of locked in, whether it be friends or family or whatever, have them write out, these are your strengths, man. This is why I love to get a haircut with you. And maybe even record them, doing a little promotional that you can put on IG. And, if you want, to come in and just feel comfortable and you want to laugh and you want to walk out feeling like a better person or whatever, you need to come see, Joe or whatever. But I know for me now now posting pictures on IG or whatever, something that works for me. And there again, I get at least one new customer every day off of Instagram that I'm in the shop. And I always ask them, how did you hear about me? And they always say Instagram, and it's always this one hashtag, and that's hashtag Tampa Barbers. And I really feel like that if you're going to cut hair, you need to hashtag whatever city you're in and then barbers afterwards. Because I've had even people that would, ask me, hey, I'm going to this area. And it might even be a professional athlete or something. I'm going to this area. Do you know anyone that cuts hair in this area? And the first thing I do is I pull up that city, hashtag that city. If it's, Baton Rouge, hashtag Baton Rouge Barbers. And there's so many times that I do that, and there's no picture whatsoever. And I hear it every day, Tampa Barbers,
That's a great point, Shannon, and that's hilarious because I literally had a client come in on this last Saturday, and he came from New York City and searched hashtag Tampa Barbers, found my page, went to my YouTube channel, checked on my tutorials, and then booked an appointment. And by the way, that client came in for the weekend to come watch his Giants beat my Bucks. It's the gift, the pain that keeps on giving. So let's move on.
I've done that in classes. I've said, how many of you guys are like really promoting yourselves on Instagram? Yeah, I am. And then whatever city I'm in, I just do the city barbers, both plural and non-plural. Yeah. And you'll see like 10 posts in the whole hashtag. I'm like, you're not really promoting yourself, bro. You're promoting yourself to other barbers. You're not promoting yourself to customers, to potential customers.
And that's the thing. I check these things too. So if you were to go to hashtag Tampa Barber and hashtag Tampa Barbers, my pictures will be some of the most dominant ones on there. As far as we do have quite a few people that hashtag Tampa Barbers around here. But man, I'm trying to fill it up, And I remember one day Loco called me and he was mad. He said, "Man, I was checking, hashtag Tampa Barbers," and he said, "Usually, I'm the one that's on there the most." And he said, "Man, you were all over it." And I was like, "I'm trying, man, because I want them to see my pictures when they look. You got to keep it in front of their eyes." And something when it comes to promoting, obviously, you could be a burger joint. And you could have the best burger in the world, but if no one knows about it, they're never going to come and buy from you. So, I do believe in promoting, obviously, and I am trying to figure out every possible way to get myself out there as well, so that they can see me.
I will say this. I think you and hold on, let me double check this, but like, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like you're when I look at your Instagram, I feel like I don't see enough of you on there. Like
well, you got to follow me to see me. You know what I'm saying?
Well, no, I think I'm correct.
It's mostly haircuts.
There's like 30. There's 30 posts, and then I see you after 30 posts. So like, and then there's like another 50 posts or 100 posts, and then I see you. I feel like if you're gonna brand yourself and you're gonna build your clientele, you also need to put a face in front of Every once in a while, like after every
you're
photo.
talking about.
See that's Boz.
Okay, I thought you were talking about my haircut. You're actually talking about my face.
Yeah, yourself, your face.
Yeah, I'm talking about when I go to look at your profile. I don't want to see your face if you're trying to promote your haircut, right?
Yeah.
But when I go to your profile, I do want to put a face to the
Haircut
product, right,
yeah.
or to the art. Like I want to know. You get what I mean?
I agree.
See, that's Bozio's problem. That's Bozio's problem with me is I have too many pictures of me staring off into the abyss, and he's always wondering. What I'm staring at. He's like, okay, so there's so Shannon has 30 pictures of haircuts, and before you get to his first one, mine is 30 pictures of myself before you get to a haircut, and I'm always staring at something off in the distance. He's always wondering.
I'm gonna tell you guys, like real talk. I remember when Jeezy called me, and he was like, "Bro, my sister's been telling me that I need to start putting my face. I need to start doing intros with me, showing who I am as a person, and because his tutorials used to only be just that's it. This is the tutorial. You didn't know who the person was, and lo and behold, that was the biggest differentiator for him, and what set him apart from the pack, and in my opinion, is what made him 2 million plus subscribers. It's because he put himself there too. He put a face and his personality to the product. I think that again, people are only seeing a fraction of what they're getting when they book you. When I look at your profile,
well, I mean,
I agree, man.
Keeping
I've been
it.
challenged in that area.
Go ahead, Shannon.
I was just saying, I've been challenged in that area. I know that you have brought me up, Chris Basio. You brought that up to me one day in the shop, and I really thought about that because as Craft Blends, I mean, that's my brand, but that's who I am, and not just my cut. And anyway, so I've tried to add, because I had no pictures of me on there, so I've tried to add some here and there, and I've got to do better about that. I think that for whatever reason, man, I mean, something, inside of me or whatever, I am promoting myself, you know what I'm saying? But I'm in my mind, whenever I promote my work, it's not promoting me as a person. And I've struggled with that at times for whatever reason, of promoting myself, which I understand that I have to. And like we were talking about earlier, it's not just what you get, it's not just the haircut, it's the person that's cutting your hair as well. And I've tried to be more, aware of that. But man, sometimes I honestly, talking about promotion and Instagram and the struggle with it, I will honestly take 40 pictures that's probably the average, at least 40 pictures of one haircut from different angles, because I want to get the right one, and I want it to look as crispy and blonde as possible.
That's transparent shit right there.
Yeah. 40. I just told you guys earlier I take like 4 or 5. This man said 40. 40.
Yeah, I mean, you can hear my camera. I'm just taking pictures, and I'll move the light back, and I'll put the light closer to the head, and I'll move in different angles, and I'm just trying to get that one picture that's going to set me apart,
Nugget for you young barbers, though. Be careful. Shannon's chair feels really good. It's motivational. Don't be taking 40 pictures of your clients having in the chair there for 30 minutes after the haircut, not explaining what's going on.
Yeah, and I try to do it quick. But I think that my customers now are at a place where they see other people, and they're even asking me, "Hey, when are you going to take a picture of my haircut? And put it on IG."
When am I next?
So I kind of have some wiggle room there or whatever. But I say all that to say that literally in my phone, because I'll airdrop from my camera to my phone the pictures of that day, and every day it's at least 100 pictures, right? So I mean, I don't take a picture of every single cut, just the ones that really stand out to me. Or sometimes you'll notice that I've cut, taken pictures of the same people, and it's because I've built that relationship with them that they enjoy it or they don't care, and I feel like they have the right head for Instagram, because at the same time, not every head needs to go on Instagram. You know what I'm saying? So back to that. But anyway, so
that's why you take a picture of me every time? Yeah,
man, you got a beautiful Instagram face. So anyway, so So what happens though, I'll go ahead and I'll have like 1,000 pictures in my phone, and I'll just be like, man, I want to post these so I can get them off of my phone, And anyways, so I forget, to take pictures of myself, but I definitely need to do that more.
Well,
But
and touching on what Bosio said as well, which was the differentiator for Jeezy. That honestly, I think that's one of the differentiators for Bosio was his voiceovers. Right, he was real, transparent, raw. You can hear his kids talking in the background. I remember when I started my channel, I started writing a script down. He's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, well, I want it to be perfect. He's like, "It's not supposed to be perfect. These people want to hear from you, like you're talking to them and having a conversation with them, not like you're reading something to them. That's boring. You're gonna put people to sleep." And sure enough, man, that was the biggest differentiator for him. And when he did that, he may not want to toot his own horn, but a lot of people followed suit. A lot of people started doing the same thing, because in the beginning it was mainly highlight tapes and captions. There was no voiceovers, not like he was doing them.
One thing I can say about Basio being in front of people, they know his face and all that good stuff. How is I love cutting Basio's hair. Number one, it's an honor to me, but obviously I'm going to take advantage, and I'm going to take a picture of that haircut because, dude, man, like I'll take a picture. I just posted a picture, I believe yesterday, of Basio's cut, and literally I have at the moment probably 1,200 likes on there. So, but it's because people know that that's Basio. When they're scrolling through, I mean, they're so familiar with his face that when they're scrolling through, they could.
What happened?
I definitely need to get better.
Hello?
At that myself, for sure.
Hello?
You all right, Shannon?
Hello?
Everybody all right? Everybody here?
I can hear you.
Hey, you there?
Yeah. But Shannon, that's part of legacy, right? That's part of dying a legend.
Yeah.
If your face isn't your brand, if a logo is your brand, that's tough, man. Like, people need to know who, like, bro. People, and to be honest with you, it's inspirational. Just seeing that, damn, it's a white boy doing these cuts.
This gingerbread.
Oh,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, bro, like, that's like, it's inspirational. There's so many people who literally would make you their GOAT just for the fact that they could relate. Like, damn, I'm white, and
yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're like the dude in the barbershop movie. Nobody wanted to sit in his chair. Then all of a sudden, he was the hottest barber in there.
This is going to be controversial, me saying this, right? But to me, it's just like these female barbers who want to force people to see them as just barbers. To me, I would be like, yo, I'm proud that I'm a female barber and I'm better than most of you guys.
Yeah,
I'm proud of this. I'm not a barber, but I'm better than you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a female barber, and you know what I mean? Like that.
The other day, which is so, it just, falls right in line with what you're saying is, a lot of times we want to be like everyone else. There's that challenge of, trying to fit in, trying to be like everyone else. When the reality is, being like everyone else isn't what sets you apart. It's being different from everyone else.
Being yourself.
Hey.
So we have to say, what's my difference? What is it that I bring to the table? And you're right, man. I mean, being white and being a decent barber in the industry, man. I mean, it is different.
Stop it. Decent. Come on, stop it. Decent. I'm decent. Stop it.
Hey, he's only humble on the podcast because at the shop he be going in on the guys.
I seen him. He act humble pie on the podcast, but at the shop. Shannon. So we're gonna wrap this up, fellas. But I want to ask you one more thing, bro. We had our meeting, 60 plus barbers. Everybody under there. You brought the house down, bro. You I mean, you did what you do. You're a pastor, but you left us with one thing, and I just want you to touch on it, elaborate on it, what that means to you, because I know it touched everybody in there. I'm sure Bozzy remembers the comment, but it was if serving is beneath you, leading is above you.
Absolutely.
When he said that, I was like,
When you could hear a pin drop, bro. When he said that, everybody was like, whoa, say it again. So what does that mean to you, man? Because golly, you want to talk about like just dropping the mic on everybody.
So to me, serving is simply solving problems, right? Serving is solving problems. So I believe that the fastest way to be promoted, to grow in any industry, is to solve problems for other people. I believe that's our purpose in this life, you know. We've got to, can I say this? I was talking with my daughter. She's 12 years old. Actually, she just turned 13. We were,
sorry, bro.
huh?
Sorry.
Yeah, for real.
Teenage?
Yeah, man.
So that's my youngest. And
for my Spanish ones,
was
vaya
just
con
talking to
Dios.
me. Yeah, she was talking to me, and she was just, she was saying, "Daddy, I think different than everybody else." And I said, "What do you mean you think different than?" And I've always thought that I think different as well. You know, kind of look deeper into things or whatever. And she's like, "Yeah, like, have you ever thought like that inside of you is another world, right?" And she's telling me all about this other world that is happening inside of her, and how each person in this world, like red blood cells and white blood cells, that they're all working together to make her healthy. You know what I'm saying? And anyways, and I said, I haven't looked at it like that. However, I look at us as cells. And it's funny that she thinks that way, because I think this same way, and I've never shared it with her, but thoughts that go through my mind is, we as human beings are one body, right? And it doesn't matter what color you are, what nationality, just say we were one body. And inside of our bodies, there's red blood cells and white blood cells, and there's organs, and each one of them have a specific job. They have a specific service. They solve a specific problem. And if they don't do what they were created to do, if the red cells don't fight off, and they don't do their job, then what happens is disease comes in, sickness comes in. And so for me, every one of us in this universe, on this planet, we all have a specific job. And every one of our jobs is to solve a specific problem. And I think if you listen close enough, something inside of you will tell you, this is what I'm supposed to do. It's a passion, it's a dream, it's a vision, it's a driving force. That if you'll just listen close enough, this is my mandate. This is my purpose. I gotta do this. You can't sleep, at night, because it's constantly going through your brain or whatever. So, anyways, I said all that to say that I have to solve problems for other people. That's why I was put on this planet. And if all of us were to solve the problems that we were put on this planet to solve, then we wouldn't have near the sickness and disease in society. And I'm not talking about, colds and flus. I'm talking about the crap that goes on every single day, right? The racism, the molestation, and all these things. If we would focus on doing what we were put on this planet to do, which is solve other people's problems, to make the whole world healthier, then I think that we would find more peace in life. I think that we would find more fulfillment in life. And I say that just to kind of say that we're all connected in some kind of way as well, So whenever I find someone that I can solve a problem for or serving will always serve you well. All right. Anytime you're not willing to serve another human being or to solve other people's problems, it's basically selfish. And honestly, man, I mean, I don't know. It doesn't, being selfish doesn't benefit you at all. But whenever I'm willing to serve other people and help solve problems for them, then what happens, man, it puts me in a position of first of all, feeling good about myself that I was willing to help. And I feel like I'm fulfilling my purpose in life. and that I'm actually making a difference. But it also blesses me. And the reality is, what is leadership? It's solving problems. It's serving other people. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love what you guys say, that us barbers, you guys are the owners. You're the bosses. We're not your, how do you put it? We're not your employees, basically. Or how do you put it? Somebody tell me real quick.
We have two sets of clients. We have the clients, and then you guys are our clients as well. We're not,
There you go.
Your customers.
You're our customers.
Yeah. So what are you doing? You're serving us. And that's what great leaders do. The great leaders serve their team. I know we're all familiar with that Instagram little meme where the guy's sitting, like basically on the shoulders, and he's whipping a whip, and he's like, move. And they're like, that's what some people think leadership is. But this is real leadership, and the leader is out front, and he's pulling the majority of the weight, and he's like, "Come on, guys, we can do this,"
Yep.
And ultimately, that's what I think leadership is. It's serving your team, man. And I said on our last time together, on a live that we did, I said, there's so many people that want Bossio's platform. They want his popularity. But the reality is they're not willing to sweep the hair around the chair next to them in the shop. That person will never. Yeah, that person will never have any influence because they're selfish. Selfish people do not get influence.
It's selfish, and they can't get influence, and they can't even influence the chair next to them. They can't influence the four walls where they're cutting. So how could you have a platform?
Can I ask you a question though?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Ask you a question. Is lack of motivation for making money or showing who you are a form of being selfish?
A lack of motivation for money?
For making money or showing who you are selfish.
Can you elaborate?
Yeah.
So I've always been in a place where I've always been like, I grew up understanding and thinking that making money is greed.
Yeah.
Until someone in your family passes away and no one has money.
Yeah.
Until someone's in hard times and they have no one to go to. Right? And so for me, I've always seen that as a repeating occurrence. Right? Someone dies and we can't even bury them. We got to do a GoFundMe or something, right? And even back then, that wasn't a possibility. We had to go asking people for money, strangers and stuff.
Yeah.
I've always feared that, and my mindset changed after a while of being a victim to this, thinking to myself, I don't want to be in that position as an adult. Yeah. So I need to be financially healthy so that if that happens to any of my family, I can help out. But what people will say a lot of times, even your family that you're doing it for will tell you you're greedy.
Can I get biblical on you?
Yes.
I believe that the Word of God is the ultimate authority on life. All right. I believe it is the ultimate truth. That's my belief. So I study the Word of God. And this is what the Word of God says. It says, owe no man anything but to love him. It says, the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the righteous. It says, basically, that the borrower is servant to the lender. It is the will of God that we should prosper in every area of our life. So that feeling of guilt and shame or whatever of having to borrow from someone, I believe that is a God-given feeling because He created you to be the lender, not the borrower. He created you to rule over your circumstances, not your circumstances rule over you. So,
bro, I've never heard it said like that before.
Check this out.
That's crazy.
Why you gotta leave us the bar every time?
Hey, God is not a tease, right? God is not a tease. I can guarantee it. And what I mean by that is whenever you're thirsty, that implies there's something there that can meet that thirst. There is something called water, right? When that hunger that you feel inside for food, it implies there is something there that God has created that will meet that need called food, meet the need of hunger, right? So this desire to rule over your circumstances, that is, God's not teasing you. He's not saying you're always going to feel like you want to rule over your situations, but you'll never be able to get there. He puts that there because there is something there that He's provided so that you can rule over your situation and your situation not rule over you. And it is His will for His people to be blessed, and His will for His children not to struggle financially. The problem is we don't use wisdom. And now when it comes to greed, see, a lot of people, they misquote the Bible and they say money's the root of all evil. So then you have these ignorant preachers that'll get up and they want everybody to be poor because they think that's holy. And it's like, no, dog, you misquoted that. It says it's the love of money that's the root of all evil. Because listen, there are prostitutes today that they don't want to be prostituting. And it's not the it's hard to really describe what I'm saying, but I think it's the love of money that put them in a situation that they're in or whatever. They may not like what they're doing, but they love the money. And when you love money and it has a hold of you, then that's when the problem. So let me say it this way. God does not mind if you have money, just as long as money don't have you.
And, oh my God.
And so I know Basio. I know you because I work with you. I get to hang out with you. And one thing I can say is you're not a greedy person. I think you're wise to pursue what God's put in your heart to pursue. I think you're wise to share your information because God has given you wisdom in this area and we need it. So part of your service to humanity, how you solve problems, is to help people like myself say, listen, there's something in you. You need to market this so that way you can take care of your family so that you can die a legend. So it's a God-given desire, I believe, to have money. And the reason I say that is because when you have money, when you come into the shop, hey, anybody want a Bang? And Bang energy drink, if for anyone that's questioning. And you walk and you buy the whole shop Bangs, right? If you're on your way, hey, I'm stopping by the store. Anybody want anything? And you buy it, and every time I try to give you money, what do? No, you better keep that. Don't you try to, disrespect me like that or whatever. Every time you have something new, greedy people don't share. So every time you have something new, you're like, hey, Shannon, try this out. And then whenever I like it, I'm like, ooh, I love this. Here, you can have it.
Isn't that weird? That some people
not
are like
a greedy person. Say it again.
Isn't that weird that some people are like that? Like I'm not programmed that way either. If I get a new clipper, I can't wait to, like when Basio gets something, because Basio's privy to get some things early. I mean, if Basio gets something and lends it to me, I'm more excited to share it with the barbers in the shop than I am to use it myself.
Yeah.
To see their face like, yo, you're using this, it's not even out yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
That's what fills me, what gives me fulfillment, in other words, instead of me using it, seeing everybody else's reaction like, this is crazy.
And I'm going to say that's why our team's going to be successful.
Agreed.
To be honest with you, because, I had something written down that because you told me, like, you hadn't asked me any question you told me you were going to ask me. So we just been flying off the cuff here, but you kind of said something like about, hey, how did you get, this fame on Instagram or whatever? And obviously I don't think that I have any fame on Instagram because, I look at there again, like Bosco, he said he has like 70,000 tonight, hopefully, or maybe tomorrow I might hit 14,000. And that's so cool or whatever. But people come in and they'll say, hey man, what's it feel to be Instagram famous? And I'm like, I'll let you know if I get there, but, but like my desire hasn't ever been popularity, like fame, popularity. That's not my desire because Popularity is when people like you. My goal has always been happiness. And there again, popularity is when people like you, but happiness is when you like you. And at the end of the day, I don't care about being popular. I think that there's wisdom in growing your platform so that you can make a greater impact, so that you can grow your business and your brand and things like that. I love, hey, popularity is a great thing. And I want people to like me. There's nothing wrong with that either. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you like me. It doesn't matter if your mom likes me. Do I like me? And that's my big thing, man. I want to be happy, and there again, I define happiness as liking you, man. I want to look in the mirror at the end of the day and say, Shannon, I like you, boy. You know what I'm saying? I love you. You're a good man, and I think that liking yourself is it starts with actually creating standards of being and morals, and actually like living up to them. You know what I'm saying?
Can I jump to the second part of my question? Because this leads right to it. I know the podcast is getting long, but the second part is not sharing yourself being greedy. So once you get to a point where you like you, where you love you, is not sharing that greedy. And what I mean by that, and let me explain. I grew up not having someone that I could look up to.
Yeah.
Right. So you guys know a little bit about my background. My brothers have been in and out of prison. I have a brother who's doing 35 years in prison right now. And at some point I looked up to them, but then they disappeared. They're like 10, 15 years older than I am.
Yeah.
And so I lost that. And I was always searching for someone to look up to. And that might have been Kobe Bryant. That might have been Warren Buffett. That might have been Jay-Z. But it was always someone that I really didn't have access to. And I always told myself I wanted to be proof to someone that it's possible. And I wanted to share that with them. And I always felt that if I didn't, I was trying to keep a secret. I was trying to keep it to myself. And I think that people knowing who I am, seeing my transparency, seeing my background, where I come from, if I didn't share that story, I'm robbing people of the influence and the motivation and the inspiration that I wish I would have had when I was coming up.
Yeah.
So do you think that not sharing that is a form of being greedy?
I would say yes and no. And what I mean by that is I think that you can get into a position where you feel like I gotta share, gotta give myself, I gotta give my story, I have to do this. And what happens is, and there again, I'm just gonna look at the life of Jesus, who, in my opinion, was the greatest leader to ever live. 2,000 plus years ago, he's still, his name's still being mentioned. He think about this. He created. There's levels to relationship, right? On each level, I can give myself more intimately to you. So, for example, Jesus ministered to the crowd, all right? There was thousands of people that he shared his message with. And yes, it was a message of inspiration. It was a message of salvation. But then he broke down into a smaller group. And then it talks about 70 disciples. And then it talks about 12 disciples. And even in the midst of the 12 disciples that were closest to him, he had 3 main people that were with him. Every time you see Jesus, you see Peter, James, and John. And I'm sure the other 12, the other guys in the 12 group were like, man, why is it that Peter, James, and John, they always get invited to go everywhere with Jesus? And anyways, but there was only one person that he identifies himself as the one that Jesus loved. And he actually, it says he laid his head on Jesus's chest. So it's just that, like we might see each other and hug each other. Oh, what's up, dog? And just have that love there, that you can give to someone closer or whatever. But so I think that yes, you need to share your story, and I think it would be greedy to hold that back. However, I think that if we're not careful, there can be this this unbalanced demand on our life that actually makes us feel guilty that we're not doing enough. When wisdom would say, "Hey, discern what level each person is on." There's going to be a group that Basio speaks to that's the crowd. Then he gets to be a little bit more intimate. See, there's like, for example, in our relationship, okay, you get to talk to the crowd on Instagram Live at events and all that stuff, and man, you're sharing the message, right? But then whenever we have a headlines / Tomb 45 meeting, you may speak to headlines and talk about some more intimate information that you would not share with the crowd, correct? But then whenever it's time to have the Tomb 45 meeting, you say, okay, everybody, this headlines and not Tomb 45, it's time for you to leave. Why? Because now there's a more intimate circle. And even in the midst of that intimate circle of all of us Tomb Squad members, there is a more intimate circle within Tomb 45 of Basio, Perez, Danny, and Loco, maybe Dre, right? So anyways, and then you guys talk about things that I'll never hear. So I shouldn't expect to hear things that they're hearing. And let me take it a step further. There's things that Basio will share with Perez and with Loco and with Danny because they are your tight-knit, intimate circle. However, there's things that Basio will share with Justine, your wife, that you won't share with the rest of the team. So I think it's important that we discern what level of trust that each person has, because some people are just there for what you can give them, and some people are there for you. And you don't give everything to just people that are just trying to take what you can give them. There's a thing called proteges. You're obviously a mentor to a lot of people. A protege is there for you. They love you as a person and they want to learn from you. But then you have a parasite. And a parasite just wants to suck you dry and take what they can get. And anyway, so I think that yes, it would be greedy not to share your message with the world, but you have to be wise in sharing the man with the world. Everybody gets the message. Can't everybody get the man? And what
Can we get an S-Craft Sunday?
Bro,
come on.
We got to figure this out. This can't be the first and last time he's on the podcast. This is ridiculous,
There's a Tyreek Tuesdays, and I love Tyreek, and I'm tuned in.
S-Craft Sundays. S-Craft Sundays.
I'd actually watch it if I did something like that. I thought about
it.
I would watch.
Hey, Shannon, you built your file. We've always talked about it. So this is the real. So can I give you the real question?
Please.
This is what I'm leading up to.
Okay.
I think we need an S-Craft Sundays. I think that you did it when you were building your church and that was your focus. Yeah. But remember, we talked about how you're gonna focus on the barber industry and you can pour yourself into the barber industry.
Yeah.
I don't know what your following looked like when you were doing the live streams with your church, but damn, you got a hell of a following now. Yeah. And I promise you, this is the side people need to know about Shannon. S-Craft is not just the nastiest white boy you've seen with a pair of clippers. Okay.
I just said it earlier, man. It's more than the haircut. It's more than the haircut, bro. You bring so much more, Shannon. Golly.
Can I be?
I've been literally silent. I've literally been silent on my own podcast for the last 15 minutes, just listening to you.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Just you're like a damn chocolate bar machine, bro. Just spitting them out, bro. Bar.
What is that?
It's
insane. That's the worst analogy ever.
I don't care. Whatever. I don't care, man. Listen,
I love you.
I'm taken back by the wise words of Shannon at this moment.
It was amazing.
I appreciate that. Well, I just want to say this. I mean, and I thank you guys for definitely pushing me. I've kind of been quiet, I've been posting pictures, but I pulled back, from really talking about anything really because, I spent the last, let's say 15 to 18 years church planning, pastoring. And one of the things that I hold above all else, obviously besides God, is my wife and my kids, man. They're my everything. My wife is my best friend. My girls are, they're my heart. And, it's so easy to get so busy. It was me talking about the crowd, the crowd versus the man, and anyways, like as far as giving them the message and not just the man. The reason I'm saying what I'm saying is because I gave the man to everybody, and not everybody deserved the man. They deserved the message, but they didn't deserve the man. And what I mean by that is I allowed too many people to get too close and expose myself to too many people, and it'll kill you, man. And honestly, I was in a place where, you guys know, I was so stressed, man, that I actually went to the hospital and they thought I had a heart attack, and I spent 3 days in there, had a heart cath and all that stuff. And honestly, it was because I was carrying this weight of just trying to give myself to everybody. And a lot of that had to do with trying to meet the needs of parasite church people. And I'm not saying all church people are parasites, you know what I'm saying? Because they're not. There's some amazing proteges in church, and they just want to learn. They want to grow. They want to be, what God wants them to be. And I want to help those people. But some people are parasites, and they will do nothing for themselves, and all they want to do is suck the life out of you. They're emotional vampires. And I dealt with that as a pastor, and I felt like I was giving all of myself to everyone else. And, I started thinking, why would I want to win the whole world and lose my family? And that,
golly, Shannon.
so
why are you so good at this?
It's insane, bro. It's almost like he's been pastoring for 15 years.
Yeah, man. So they're my greatest ministry. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if my wife doesn't know that she is the queen of my world, that she's everything to me, and my children don't know that their daddy loves them with everything, would die for them, would kill for them, and you know what I'm saying? I mean, then there's a problem. And anyways, they are my greatest ministry. I feel like they are a reflection or a witness of the kind of man that I am. Because see, you can say Shannon's a great man, but you don't live with me. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate it, but there's no real weight to it unless you live with me every single day, And what really does me good is to hear my wife say, I live with this guy every day. He is the real man of God. He really loves his wife. He loves his kids, and he always wants to do what's right, even when doing what was wrong would make more money or whatever the case may be. I want to do what's right, And anyway, so I don't even know how I got to that point, but So my whole point was I needed to take a time away, and I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to love my wife, and I wanted to love my kids. But there is a time and season for everything, and that I thank God I recognize that season of just me pouring into them, but also them pouring into me. Man, I needed to know they loved me, and I needed them to be like, hey, Daddy, it doesn't matter if anybody leaves. We're here with you. We got your back, And they're my biggest support, my loudest cheerleaders, and I needed that in that season of life. And now though I'm feeling that spark, like I'm starting to kind of seeing speaking in front of people again. So this right here was just some way for me to vent, and it feels awesome. Thank you again for the privilege. But I'm feeling it. So with y'all saying that, I think it's comfort.
Are we about to break news?
For me.
Are we about to break news? Are we going to get an S-Craft Sundays?
You know what? We might just get an S-Craft Sunday. So if not Sunday, we'll do a different day. But and I think one of the things too that I'm not the greatest educator in the world when it comes to barbering, to be honest with you. I see, Basio and others that actually travel and they communicate in front of crowd, barbering techniques and stuff like that. I'm not the best at that, honestly. But, and I really don't like it, to be honest with you. I mean, it's okay, but it's not my passion. It's not what gets me going. Talking leadership, talking, man, just inspirational things, man, that's what gets me going. I love nuggets, man. I love wisdom, and so that's, I thought that, okay, Shannon being in the barber industry now, everybody wants to hear how do you cut a fade. But with you guys saying that, it's just confirmation that, hey, maybe there are people in the industry that want more than just, okay, this is how you fade up, this is how you fade down, this is that. And maybe they just want stuff like this. And that, dude, I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think it's time, bro. Like, and to be real with you, it's perfect because, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's no, like, I can't see it being as time consuming and as much of a sacrifice as running a church. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
and I think
a lot of people.
I think your kind of motivation is a breath of fresh air. I'm not trying to knock anybody, but some of the other stuff is just the same regurgitated crap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The same thing.
What happens is in our culture today, sad to say, and obviously it's not, it's the few bad people in ministry that are the ones that are magnified the most. For every one person that's taking money from the church or whatever, there's so many hundreds of thousands more that they just love people and they want to make a difference. But because of those negative things that are magnified on the news about this pastor sleeping with this one or whatever, a lot of people don't trust church anymore and they won't go to church. Or maybe they were raised in a really judgmental church. So once they broke free from that, they're like, I'm never going back there because church has no value for me. And I really feel like the reason God sent me to Tampa was obviously, I think, to meet you guys, to put me in a position where my platform could grow so that I could reach people and speak to people who've given up on church. So like my thing now, I love the fact that I'm reaching people who may never walk through church doors, and I could care less about the four walls of a building. I am the church. Wherever I go, I carry God with me. And I want people to understand that Jesus did not die to put you behind four walls of the church, which I love church, and I think everybody needs to be a part. It's a great place to learn and grow, and to connect with other believers, to serve, or to figure out the purpose you have and the problems you're created to solve and all that stuff. But mainly, it's to have a relationship with our Heavenly Father, which we get through His Son. And anyways, it's not about religion; it's about relationship, and that's what I want people to know, because even though I don't have to be real preachy, and sometimes I may be, but I think that the Bible is the book of wisdom, and there is no other book on the planet that can give you the wisdom and insight for any area of your life, like the Bible can. And anyway, so if I can use scriptures, and even not even say they're scriptures, just, hey man, I got a principle that will change your life, and give them the principle behind the verse. I believe that it will really help, it'll help people out. There's so many people that they're so proud and arrogant because they can quote, 1,000 verses out of the Bible. The problem is they never learn the principle behind the verse and they don't apply it. I don't care if I know, what book and verse or, chapter something's in. What's the principle? What's the meaning? What was he trying to say? And will I apply it to my life? And I think that's what changes people's lives.
Bro.
Hey, so I have a so we're going almost 2 hours.
Yeah,
we gotta get off.
We got to wrap this up.
Yeah,
it's a podcast. We're an hour and 45 minutes.
But
break it up. Part 1, part 2.
Yeah, but one thing I'm going to do it. I'm going to go live on Instagram after this, just for a little bit. What you just said just now. So I was looking at a thread today on Facebook, and it was a bunch of church going people who they know everything there is to know about the Bible and church and what God wants, and they were crucifying Kanye West.
Yeah.
They said he has no business in the church. He has no business spreading the word until he repents. They said what he is doing is should not be okay, and no one should be supporting it.
Okay.
For me, and I think we've had this conversation before, and I you don't have to answer it here because we're going so long. I'm gonna go on Instagram. I think I'm gonna bring it up on Instagram, and I think it's the perfect alley-oop to be able to get people to want to go to S-Craft Sundays whenever you're ready for it.
Yeah.
Whenever you're ready for it. But in my eyes, I have not seen so many people speak of church, speak of God, speak of the Bible since I've seen Kanye start to do this. There are people who would never have even listened to a gospel song if it wasn't for Kanye West doing what he's doing. And for me, I see it as let's say he hasn't repented. This is an opportunity to speak to somebody. There's a reason why he's doing this. He's asking for help, obviously. He's asking for more. He wants to be in this world, and this is his way of doing it. And he's not just a resource. He's not just somebody who has a strong following, but this is a guy who truly, obviously, is spending a lot of energy trying to have a connection with God. But Absolutely. You see all these churchgoers on Facebook crucifying him for going a different route than they would want him to go.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that's something that you want to speak of, but
I would love to, man.
It kills me seeing these Facebook threads destroying this guy for what I see as like, look, judge the man for what he's done in the past, cool. Yeah. But I mean, I learned this from you. God wants people who've made mistakes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are the ones he seeks out.
Right? Like that's what church is supposed to be. Well, regardless of how they end up finding the church. That's what he wanted, right?
We've got to be careful because in the day of Jesus, there was a representation of the church, which was called Pharisees and Sadducees. And they were religious leaders. They were very legalistic. So they were the ones that crucified Jesus. And anyway, so what happens is if you don't fit into their religious mold and you don't approach God the way they think you should approach God, then you have no right approaching God.
Wow.
So they actually think that they're God. And they can make the decision who comes and who stays.
Yeah, you got it.
Can we bring this to Instagram?
Yeah, you got
to promote the podcast.
Let's do it.
All right,
this is some real shit, right?
You guys have been hearing it for a while in the background, the outro music. But
this part clearly, right here.
clearly, Shannon started dropping bars, and this went longer, and we have no problem with that at all because this is why I love sitting in this chair. 30-minute haircut turns into 2-hour session when I get a haircut with Shannon. It was absolutely amazing having you for the first episode back in the new format.
This was supposed to be a less than an hour, and now we're gonna have to do 2 parts.
We're at an hour and 48 minutes, guys. We're at an hour and 48 minutes. No. All good, man. Never apologize. So listen, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing your voice on this podcast. What do you guys think of the questions? You guys thought it was dope, the concept?
Oh man, I loved it.
I loved it. I would love to hear more questions.
So, guys, hit us up. It's 813-602-1182. call us, leave your take, leave your IG, call us what state you're calling from, and you know, interact with us. That's what it's all about at the end of the day. Shannon, it's been a pleasure having you on the podcast, bro. I couldn't think of anybody better to have on here first. And this is definitely gonna be a 2-part episode, and probably gonna have you on again if we were with you. And commit right now on the podcast. Commit. Ask Craft Sundays.
Hey, you know I'm
Ask Craft Sundays. No, Ask Craft Sundays.
Is it happening?
Is it happening?
I believe it is. I can't commit 100% to Sundays, but it will be happening on one day. I will figure that out. But Sunday may work.
It don't have to be Sundays.
It has to be Sundays.
It just sounded good. Ask Craft
Sundays.
That does sound good.
Listen. I'm gonna leave you with something familiar. Signing out from Headline Studios.
That's right.
The Barber Session.